tweeting this, quote, receiving deluge of social media and private communications, re Romney. Some Trump loyalists warn against Romney as Secretary of State. We've heard Newt Gingrich do that on our very air. We've heard Mike Huckabee do that on our very air. Joining me now is former New York Lieutenant Governor Betsy McCoy and Ohio State Senator Capri Cafera. Betsy, Trump's supporters are slamming Romney for his attacks on the president-elect during the primaries. He was not behind him. What's going on here? And this fight over Romney has become very public.
Well, nobody is smarter than Kellyanne Conway, and she understands that this election was a referendum on the Trump doctrine. Trump rejecting globalism, rejecting open borders, rejecting international norms in favor of America first, negotiating from strength, securing the borders. Nobody has been a stronger articulator, spokesperson for that viewpoint than Rudy Giuliani. The voters know what they're getting if Rudy Giuliani is Secretary of State. So I understand exactly where Kellyanne Conway is coming from. She is reflecting this voter concern. Ultimately, Donald Trump will make the decision. And, you know, he's kind of playing this Lincoln playbook. Remember when Lincoln said back in 1860, if I make them my friends, they're no longer my enemies. That didn't work out so well for Lincoln. So he's got to be a little careful on that.
Capri, it's the fact that it's public. It's that Mitt Romney is such a lightning rod. Newt Gingrich has come out against him. Governor Huckabee on with Maria on Wednesday, and now Kellyanne Conway. So does it look bad? Does it hurt the transition or not?
Well, I mean, it's never good to put your dirty laundry out on Front Street. I mean, any time that you're dealing with an important, as important of a selection, frankly, as Secretary of State, to have this sort of infighting out on the street isn't necessarily a great place to be.
I wouldn't call it dirty laundry. You know why? Because this shows the public that Donald Trump is committed to selecting the best person for the job, and even take a little guff in the meantime.
And I don't disagree with that. And I think that it's good for Donald Trump to consider Mitt Romney, to consider part of this team of rivals. I think that it sends a very strong message to the global community that he's willing to entertain different perspectives, particularly when it comes to foreign policy. That being said, you don't necessarily want your team out there, voicing their concerns in the way that they are.
That's my concern about it, Betsy. From a business perspective, it would be odd for a CEO, for the senior VP or for the CFO, for example, of a company to be talking about, to be criticizing the CEO for who they're choosing to be the COO, for example, or for whatever the position may be. And so that's the part, I guess, that's surprising to me, as you mentioned, Dagan, the really public nature of his own advisors criticizing who he's considering. He hasn't offered the job anybody yet, and why shouldn't he consider
I'm not sure it's criticizing. As I said, I think they're advertising the fact that they're having a very open debate over who is best for this position, and that's called leadership.
Yeah, and the other thing that's so interesting, too, you use the word advertising, which is exactly Donald Trump's ethos.
Hey, what else is a tweet?
And what does it show by having Mitt Romney as a part of that conversation, that even if he doesn't choose him, at least he reached out, he had the meeting, he shook the hand, and that shows
really good
a lot.
point.
Speaking of reaching out, while Kellyanne Conway was tweeting about Romney, Trump was tweeting about Carrier. The president-elect yesterday posting this, quote, I'm working hard even on Thanksgiving trying to get Carrier AC Company to stay in the U.S., Indiana. Making progress, we'll know soon. The company then posted its own tweet saying, quote, Carrier has had discussions with the incoming administration and we look forward to working together. Nothing to announce at this time. Trump says he's going to he's threatened a 35% tariff.
Yeah, but this is thumbs up. He has already done it with Ford. And this was a big issue during the election when that Carrier executive stood in front of those employees and said, you're all going to be fired because we're moving to Mexico. That is exactly why Donald Trump was elected president. This is about jobs, and he's going to stop it.
And I want to issue a challenge to our president-elect Donald Trump. And I think that it's great that he is engaging on this Carrier issue. But we lost almost 2,000 jobs in my district, or we are about to. We're eliminating a shift. General Motors, the Lordstown facility, is in my district. Between Ohio and Michigan, they've eliminated 2,000 jobs. We make the Chevy Cruise in my district because of market forces, they've been reduced.
Call him up. He'll come
hey,
do
listen.
it.
Well, here's the deal. They make the hatchback in Mexico. I respectfully suggest to our president-elect, let's take a look at that Mexican facility and bring some of that back to Ohio that delivered by 11 points.
I like it. I like your idea.
But before we go to break, I want to raise the issue of we have a president that's bearing down on companies and essentially telling them how to do business. As a business reporter, it kind of makes me do like this face.
I understand what you're saying. I think what the president needs to do is to work with the Congress to work on tax reform, right? We need to incentivize companies to come back. Why are they going to Mexico?
He's not going to have time to be calling every company on the phone in the United States is moving jobs.
Agreed.
He's stopping the damage. Some of these companies otherwise would make the decision before he even gets sworn in. This is very different from Democrats like Andrew Cuomo in New York who go and offer something special to one company. He's just advertising the fact, hold on, guys, because you're going to be in a very different environment in just a few days.
Right. Betsy, great to see you.